Hello and welcome to this second edition in our iconic series about the nature of reality. The body decodes information, and it can only decode that frequency level which relates to objects. And so we perceive reality because of that as form, objects, and empty space in between. Everything is connected by this field of information consciousness. For instance, when we think and the nature of the thought, and when we have emotions, the nature of the emotion dictates the frequency that we're generating. Every thought is a different frequency, every emotion is a different frequency, and these frequencies pass through this field, the medium of this field. And if you're sensitive, then you can pick up those frequencies. We call it intuition, intuitive knowing. Another major key in understanding reality and the nature of the self is to realize that the body is not the I. The body, what I call a biological computer, is the vehicle through which the true I, consciousness, awareness, experiences this reality. The true I is a state of being aware. And what we call death is not the death of the I, it's the end of the cycle of the vehicle, the biological computer that we call the body. And I have this phrase, the body has a cycle, we have eternity.
Well, more than 90% of people believe there is an afterlife, according to our Today.com poll. But what exactly is it? Some people claim they know because they've actually experienced it.
A near-death experience takes place in a near-death context, but it has to involve the losing of wakeful consciousness and then a number of specific kinds of experiences that you have when you're not wakefully conscious.
There's a sudden change. And from one instant to the other, all pain is gone. All anxiety is gone. All fear is gone. All noises are gone. And there's just peace.
And all of us who've been out and back want to assure you that the precise moment is nothing but pure bliss, pure release, pure joy, pure love, pure light, and if you can stand it here, none of all of the words together is enough to describe it.
The true I is infinite, it's eternal, and this is what is happening with near-death experiences when they leave the body, when the body dies and before it's revived, and they experience a completely different reality. What the body's doing is decoding information within a tiny band of frequency. That's why this world is the only one that appears to exist. What you are experiencing is what the body is decoding. The body is decoding information to give the illusion of time and the illusion of space. It's just an experience. The question is, how much of our awareness are we actually accessing? And this comes down to our state of perception. If, for instance, your perception of yourself is little me, I have no power, then that is going to be broadcast. You're going to be operating on a band of frequency which relates to that perceptual self-identity. I'm little me, I have no power. And what does that mean? It means that your interaction with the field of possibility and probability is going to be very narrow, because your sense of self, your sense of self-identity is very narrow. And what that creates is a feedback loop between your perceptions and the field of possibility and probability, which will deliver a life experience that relates to your self-identity. Little me perception leads to a little me life. When you change your self-identity and you start to see yourself in much more expanded terms, for instance, if you see yourself as the consciousness that is experiencing the body and not see yourself as the body, then that self-identity is expanded. You're no longer little me and just a body and a bag of bones that is around for a few seconds or 100 years. You are the consciousness that is experiencing through the body. And that expansion of awareness automatically expands you into greater swathes of the field of possibility and probability. And what happens then? We call it awakening. What happens then is suddenly lots of synchronicity comes in your life, lots of amazing coincidences. Life starts to become an adventure instead of a daily, everyday the same ordeal. The brain is not generating consciousness as mainstream science claims. The brain is a processor of information. Our consciousness is an energetic field beyond the body.
What we're really discussing is what makes Sam into who he is, what makes Robert into who he is, or anybody else into who they are.
Consciousness is one of the fundamental facts of human existence. Consciousness also is what makes life worth living. If we weren't conscious, nothing in our lives would have meaning or value. But at the same time, it's the most mysterious phenomenon in the universe.
Retired Princeton scientist Dr. Roger Nelson believes the emotional focus of millions of people on a single event, like 9/11, may form a global consciousness.
Does consciousness interact directly with the physical world?
The mind exists in a separate spatial dimension from the brain. While information about the world is encoded in the brain.
If this is proven through science, that consciousness can exist independent of brain function, what it simply tells us is that the brain is vital, but it is not the producer of consciousness. The brain acts more like a TV set.
So what has happened to humanity is people have been put into this five-sense reality prison, which they think is all reality, when actually it's a tiny fraction. And So the idea is to isolate people in the five senses and then program that five sense mind. If you self-identify with the labels of a human life, you are identifying with limitation. Who are you? I am a man, I am a woman, I am this sexuality, this race, this religion. No. They are not who we are. They are what we are experiencing. I've been on this journey now 30 years. When I started out, no one wanted to know. I was just laughed at in the street. I have seen a dramatic transformation, both in the numbers of people that want to look at the world in another way and see that maybe this official narrative is not exactly how it is or anything like it is. When you look at a human life, it is a download. Day after day after day after day, you are being given the official version of everything. The official version of science, of medicine, of politics, of everything. It's what I call the postage stamp consensus. It's a very narrow band of possibility. Here's an analogy. You have a computer, and the computer is symbolic of the five sense mind. And you have an operator that is working the keyboard and is working the mouse and guiding the computer, just as expanded awareness is supposed to guide the five sense mind. But what happens when the computer, say, gets a virus? Suddenly, as the virus takes a hold, communication from the operator disappears. You're banging the mouse, you're banging the keyboard, nothing's happening. And when we get disconnected from expanded awareness, that is what is happening to us. No wonder so many human beings go through life in a constantly bewildered state. We're not part of infinite reality. We are infinite reality. It's all about perception. Little me will connect with a fraction of infinity. Expanded me will connect with a greater swathe of infinity. And eventually, you become infinity. It's the realization that you are not Ethel on the checkout. You are not Bill driving the bus. That's just an experience. You are still a unique expression of all that is, has been, and ever can be. And the only thing that is stopping you from accessing that magical true self is your perception of who you are. All we need to do is open our minds. A change of perception can transform your life.